Welcome to Decentralized On, where lifelong friends Chicago and Disco navigate the ever-evolving crypto landscape. With genuine curiosity and a commitment to nuance as our North Star, we offer clear-eyed exploration. Our goal? To empower listeners with the tools and insights needed to flourish in this decentralized age. Kind of ties into something that I really wanted us to, be able to kind of explore and discuss in this week's show. Something I've talked about it a few times before, and if you look over my shoulder, you'll see a piece of art with kind of a green image and then this robot-y character, which is called a lad. And it's from a duo, an artistic duo called the London Police that are based out of Amsterdam. And they've been developing this incredible street art for, I don't know, at least the past decade or so. And I got turned on to them when I went to an Art Basel 5 or 6 years ago. And I just fell in love with kind of just the aesthetic and the vibe. And they do like murals. They get commissioned to do like street murals in different cities across the world. And, one of them draws these perfect circles freehand, and then they implement characters and stories. And ever since I saw them, and then I started collecting, traditional pieces, and I got a handful around the house. But I always was thinking, that would be such a interesting project to see them evolve and transfer into doing NFTs and getting into the digital space. And last week, it drifted out that, they started leaking some news that they were going to start, going digital, and they were going to do a drop. And, I could hardly stand myself. I was so excited. Like I was jumping up and down. I'm like, I got to get in. I can't wait. This will be a perfect, the world is mine. Finally things are catching up to what I thought. And I'm so glad that somebody got through to them to, kind of explore this. Right. Because, you have Art Basel, and, we talked about that last week where, there were so many different NFT projects that were kind of highlighted, and it really, showed kind of the, the stickiness and the beauty of digital art and generative art and everything from that perspective. So it kind of leads you to have these thoughts of like, what traditional artists would be able to kind of make the switch. And there's been a handful that have done it that were kind of, big players and everything. And they did it more the traditional way from, going into NFT side. So I was so excited about this. And then I saw a post about, it's going to be the London Police are going to be doing their inaugural digital drop on VeVe, I think is how you pronounce it. It's like capital V, lowercase e, capital V, lowercase e. And I jumped in there, I was like, what is this? And to be honest, I wasn't familiar with the platform and I didn't know anything about it, but basically it's positioned as a platform for buying and selling digital collectibles. I think that it's very strategic in their play to not use the word NFT, which leads me to a whole other sidebar conversation of, are
digital
they right about that? But think about it. Were that many people burned by NFTs that it really is something that, they can't touch? And I think it's got to stay. I think it makes sense to stay. I think, I'm down with the pure play side of it.
It's a crappy name. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. It's a crappy name. It's the one that's stuck, but at least when you hear NFTs, non-fungible token, it means that you probably hold the private keys to the artwork that you bought. Right.
So anyhow, just thinking about all that, and I went in, and my first, kind of flag that things were going to be different than what I was used to in terms of, a more pure Web3 experience of collecting NFTs, aka digital art, was you can check out the site, but if you want to buy anything on the site, you have to do full KYC. So I had to, upload driver's license, and do all that. So right there, it's
absurd.
Feeling like a significant.
You're buying a digital picture online. You're not even getting a poster of this thing, and you're KYCing. Like, how is that not overreach? Like, what does the government think? Like these things are just going to make like millions of dollars overnight. It to me, it's just such an odd overreach. Anyway, sorry, Disco.
Yeah. And I probably would have wiggled off the hook if I didn't have this kind of pent up passion for the art overall, and have already been collecting. So I was like, of course I want to have their first, digital drop and be involved there. So I kept going with the process. Then, they had a faux wait list, a half hour before. Joined the wait list before the drop. I didn't get it. And I was like, okay, I'm screwed. I don't know what to do. Then I find out as I spend more time on the site that they have their own secondary market. So it's just baffling to me. Is this where things are going to go, where it's just this hybrid faux Web3 in a Web2, because they built the thing on Ethereum. They use NFT, or they use blockchain technology to certify rarity and authenticity and ownership. Yet then you have to do full KYC. They said that, part of why we do it this way is that we can control what mints. So we're controlling the quality of, what's happening there. But it just,
quality. What does quality mean? Like, it's a digital artifact.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So all of it is just so icky kind of to me. I don't get it. And when you scroll through just their main site, you're seeing Coca-Cola, Disney, Marvel, DC Comics are all on board with this. And it's just, I don't really understand it. You can pay, like you go in and you can use a credit card to buy gems is what they call it. And then gems can convert. They're like a 1-to-1 to dollars. So it's a real simple conversion there. But then they also have another option for their own native currency, which feels very tokeny and very reminiscent of, Web3. So I just get so confused by kind of this, I don't know, this odd merging of the technologies. And it's so saddening to me that I have these artists that I really respect and have been, following and super excited about, okay, they're getting into this, and then seeing it kind of feel like a big asterisk in terms of, well, we don't really trust Web3 and we really don't trust, NFTs. And so it's just getting away from kind of the spirit that would get us so excited about a real transformation. So I don't know. I don't really know where I land on it. I just wanted to talk about it.
I know where I land on all this stuff. So here's my biggest. Let's go. Yeah, let's. I mean, we've taken the gloves off for everything else. Let's do it here too. So the art, I love the art on your wall. You've been telling me about the London Police forever, and I definitely would have and wanted to buy stuff. And you let me know about this. And the second I went on this site, I was like, oh, red flag, another red flag. Like, you have to KYC, you have to log in. I'm like, it's not even worth it. And here's the kicker for these that are the big no for me, and kind of the bummer why, if Marvel and everybody's kind of going this route, you should never have to log in, like literally with an email and password to a website to view your collectible. That collectible lives on the blockchain. I believe this actually has a layer 2 immutable X, correct? So they said.
Yes. So they say. I never interacted with it. So.
Right. And I actually did log in the other day just to see, and on secondary the things are going for a little more money, and they are now a couple $100. So it's and you pay by credit card here, not in Bitcoin or ETH, which is totally fine. But what gets me is that I see no address. I see no way to transfer the wallet and the keys to my own wallet. If what people don't realize in this space, if you're not holding it, with all the things we said with the hacks and everything, as crazy as this sounds, if you are not holding it with your own keys, or at least have the option to, then to me, it's total BS. Like, I wouldn't recommend anybody going to this VeVe.me and using it. Now, if my favorite movie in the whole world or favorite band, or there was some crazy Star Wars thing, would I tinker with it and spend a couple $100 for fun? Maybe, but probably not, because again, you want to be, even if your licensing rights or your IP rights, obviously if it's something like big mainstream thing, you're not expecting to own like all gold stormtroopers now have to go through approval through me in the movies. Like it's just not reality, right? They've already established the brands and the IPs. You just want a piece of it. So I would get that my IP rights would be way less, but the fact that I can't hold it and quote unquote own it, and just like a baseball card or a football card, or I guess a Pokemon card, whatever you coin, stamps, if I can't pass that to my next generation, whether I do or not, or whether they give a crap about getting it passed to them or not, if you don't have that, then the heritage of the thing to me is total BS and doesn't exist.
And I have issues with the fact that I can't display it where I'd like to display it. And I think that, you know, we keep talking about where's this going to head eventually, right? And, you know, we always, I mean, at least I'm kind of still blue sky and rainbows about metaverse. Like, I think that, you know, we're going to see something out of that, and meaning just a different, you know, user experience and way to interface digitally on things. And I've always wanted to look at, you know, kind of acquiring different NFTs and collecting, right, with the ultimate goal of having like a really rad, you know, gallery where people could see, you know, what this goes into, and I can share, you know, some of the things that bring me joy. And it was such a want to be like, okay, great, I bought it. I can only show my kids this if I open up freaking VeVe, you know, like,
hey guys, come here. Let me log in. Hold on. Let me KYC. Let me get my driver's license. I mean, what an
and you know what it does?
Joke.
The only thing it does on the display is it rotates. You know, like that's the only feature for the animation. It's like, it's just like a print that just rotates. It's like, thanks, dude. So it was really, you know, I'll support them, and I hope that people find their way. But I really, almost like when you were talking about, you know, the need for the advocacy within the governmental structure for the side of it, we also need to really look at kind of advocating for those that are going to transition their art, whether it be music or, you know, tradition, you know, painting, however it may be. I want to find out more about some of the operations that are going to do it the right way. And I want to start hoping that we can lead more people down the right path on this transition, because, you know, we saw Beeple, you know, break through with the $69 million sale at the top of it. And, you know, I respect the heck out of him because, you know, he beats to his own drum. When you listen to him talk, he's kind of ornery and very, you know, self-deprecating, but by the same token, he sold something for freaking 63 or 69 million, and he's sticking to the everydays. Like, so I love that he's
a doer. He did one digital, he did one image every day and still does, like, and he was one of the first in the field. Yeah. And just huge tip of the hat to him.
Yeah. So you have, you know, kind of that blueprint, but I would probably consider him a digital native artist, right? If you really think about it. And, you know, you have Damien Hirst, you know, I have a Damien Hirst piece of traditional art in my house. And, you know, I saw that he did some drops early on, and he did this thing called the currency, which is kind of cool. And, you know, it's different pieces. And you can also, with one of them, you could either opt to take a physical copy of it after a certain period of time or continue to have it digitally. So I just like the funkiness of trying to kind of figure out how to do that and make it be in spirit with what you're doing. I think, you know, Takashi Murakami, you know, I think he really believes in NFTs and digital art, but he got kind of screwed to a degree with the flowers just in the timing. And, you know, he's even apologized to people about that, but he's like, you know, I'm sorry if you lost money on it, but I think his heart's in the right place. I think his art's in the right place. And I think that we need to find better on-ramps for, you know, some of these transitions. And it's going to be a big problem to kind of get some of the best artists in all fields, you know, movie, whatever it turns into. We got to make it so that they don't just go to this knockoff Web3. And, you know, it's kind of the whole same thing of, you know, it's going to stay centralized and the powers that be are still going to be in place. So, you know, Christie's and, you know, the auction houses, like, yeah, they're going to want to understand how to make money off of doing things. It's a new revenue stream, but where's their heart in the decentralization aspect of it?
Yeah. Here's what I don't get. And I think you nailed it. Basically, is we get into Web3 and, you know, like Ready Player One, and we're all setting up our own cybers or whatever the future holds. Yeah. You want to hold it. I think you said it best, and I'm going to try and rephrase it so it works in my brain. If it's in one place like VeVe or Candy, I bought a bunch of Stranger Things on Candy. If it's in one place, then it's not free and it's not truly art. It's locked behind one paywall. Like, is VeVe gonna be the de facto place to show your art? Is the Louvre gonna be like, oh, let's log into VeVe on this? Like, no, it's gonna be where your NFT lives immutably on the blockchain, and it can be displayed anywhere. And as an owner, you can access it outside of VeVe or Candy or whatever these siloed small Web 2 things are creating. Like London Police, like I through Disco, I love your stuff, and I'm definitely at some point looking to buy stuff, but this is not the way. If you want to ever talk to us, you are the person who set this up for you. We love your stuff. Call us and we will help point you in the right direction. The only analogy I can think of is if you're like the most up and coming skateboarder, like you're 15 and you're already ready to go pro and you're just doing tricks that nobody else can do. And instead of signing with like the coolest kind of like most underground yet overground brands with the best people in it, you basically agree to sell like a fully assembled deck and wheels and bearings at like Walmart. That, to me, that is this equivalent.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me to kind of zoom out of, kind of being entrenched in this philosophy to wonder, are they going to end up winning because they're not embracing the true elements of NFTs? Like if they're going to water it down that much, like it'd be really sad if that ends up being like where it goes. And that would just be, it's disheartening to see, and you have Marvel and these huge companies. So I just really hope that we can find more digitally native ways to have this next wave of artists, come to life. And I think that the digital artists like Young and Sick, I'm a huge fan, have been for a while. And, the people that grew up in it understand how to use it and understand, the relevance. And they would be the ones that would probably be having the internal debates on their next drop on if it should be, on Ordinals, or if they should do Ethereum or Solana or whatever it may be. But I don't think any of those guys are sitting there thinking, oh, I'm going to drop on VeVe. So it's just like, I don't know who the business dev guys are or whatever with VeVe that are making this stuff happen. And I think that this is a challenge to myself and to you, Chicago, and to listeners that are interested, is we need to explore and understand and celebrate more of the alternative outlets that have some of this art available now in terms of NFTs. Remember when we were talking a couple weeks ago, we were looking at the Chaos Roads, and there was someone who was kind of curating that side of it, and mind blown when we saw like what else was available, and that stuff's not hitting like our day-to-day feeds. So I think that my encouraging part is I think that there are folks that are out there. I think people even at museums, like LACMA or some of these bigger museums across the world are looking at how to kind of curate digital art in a cool way. And I think it's going to really be incredible. I think that we're kind of at the launching pad of like the new pop art or the new movement.
Oh, it's already happening. I mean, CryptoPunks have been in the Louvre. I mean, for sure it's happening, and it's not coming again. It's not coming from VeVe, it's coming from the beauty of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, the blockchains. The beauty is you put the art on there. Hopefully it's immutable, but you have a whole new technology. Are you on chain? Are you off chain? Like there's so many decisions you can make, and going behind basically a Web 2 login, it's just not the way. And 100 years from now, when VeVe's been bought by Seagram's, who's been bought by Best Buy, who's been bought by Disney, who's been bought by Microsoft, like that is a corporate way to go. And this is a whole this is like the 60s. The blockchain is a new 60s renaissance for the digital age. I can't say it any other way.
Yeah. And we've been, as a global society, we've been waiting for a new renaissance to come and a new, expression. And it has to reflect the spirit of the society at the time. And we're a digital society. So for it not to be reflected in the artistic output it's not genuine to the time of where it is. So I think maybe we could, maybe we'll work on this, but maybe we could kind of come up with a guide of things to consider when you're going to launch, art. And, we've been kind of dancing around it a few times, with, where's your NFT stored? What kind of collector are you? Blah, blah, blah. But maybe just kind of, things to consider when looking to launch a project, and kind of looking at the core values that could be important in what you're doing, because no offense, you can't really go back. Like that was their inaugural digital launch, a digital piece. And I just sit there and look at the opportunity of what if it was, because it was small piece, it was only, 222 collection sizes or whatever. Be pretty cool if those were inscribed, or if those were, kind of immortalized in a different way and had, different, values behind it, as opposed to something that you have to go to one platform and within that you can view it or trade it, and you can't do it outside of that. So
yeah, well said. I mean, you know what it is, you're right, because you only have one first shot for that inaugural collection, and as a collector of a lot of their art, you were really excited for that. And that's almost like, you get Mickey Mantle, like, and all the, Twinkie put on the back of their box where you cut it out. And that was the first one to come out, and then Topps has the rookie one with the little chalice at the bottom. You're like, well, which one's worth more? I mean, there's probably irony to the Twinkie one being worth more, but in this case, it's not even on chain. It's almost like you get the Twinkie box, you cut it out, and then they're like, thank you, we'll take that. That you've got to log in to even access this in this one spot on this one website that is purely Web2 and is not immutable and not on chain. So I'm just going to keep trying to come up with more metaphors, because
but I was just to, come clean. Like I was super excited, you've turned me on to a lot of things in, to explore and to enjoy in, this evolving ecosystem. And I was excited to, bring home a bone and be like, dude, they're doing a drop. You should get in, this is happening, or I got you one or whatever. But then once I started doing the process, I was like, Chicago's not going to buy this. He's not going to go for this. This isn't what I thought it was positioned as. So I was kind of like meekly being like, hey, I got this. And you were like, hey, I thought you were going to tell me about something. I was like, dude, it's not really as I thought it was. Like,
oh, so that's why you didn't tell me. I was like, thanks, jerk. And then I went there.
But I was going to get you. Like, if it worked out, I was just going to double up or whatever and, do it. But once I was going through it, I'm like, this is going to hit so many red flags with Chicago that I don't even know if I want to share this tale of woe. So
you don't have to get me one of those. Just buy me a CryptoPunk or a Noun for Christmas or something. I'll forgive you for this one, but just, get me something good.
All right.
So
I'll be floating around the Node Monkey world and see what we can find.
No monkeys. The launch is coming soon. I am excited about that one still. I am excited. One of my favorite collectors in the ordinal space, Brissy, just bought the golden Node Monkeys, and this was not a part of our news. I'm just getting excited again, but he bought it for 2.1 Bitcoin. So again, Node Monkeys, the first 10K collection on Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin Punks did finish first, but Bitcoin Punks again are copy pasta. So Chicago doesn't like the Bitcoin Punks, and the Node Monkeys send nodes. So just so you know, just so you don't feel bad, when my kids and I got into a huge Stranger Things binge watching session for season 4 or 5, whatever that last season was, I think it was 5 with Vecna and stuff, they came out with these cards, and it's on candy.com, and candy.com again is another VeVe. It's totally protected. It's just these posters. There's 600 of these of Hopper. Steve Harrington's got 458, and I totally in 12 or 11 is 11 12 11's got she's got a couple really like rare ones here, but I went in, and being an NFT degen, I wanted to make sure I got one of each, but then I started stupidly shopping for number ones. Now, at least I waited a couple months when everything died down. Cause again, the problem is I guarantee there's a lot of Stranger Things fans out there, but are there a lot of Stranger Things fans who know about candy and who know about these posters and know, well, do you actually get a real poster? No, of course I don't. But how many number ones do I hold? I have a Steve Harrington number one. I think I have an Eddie Munson 16, that number one. I think Eddie Munson has run away as the true fan favorite, but I think I have a number 16 of him. I don't have a number one of number 11. Say that fast.
You don't really, but you don't really have anything because you only have it inside candy. So you don't really have anything.
But I have the login to the password, so I own it, don't I? Oh wait, am I arguing?
I don't know.
Am I arguing the other side now? Like, no, mine is fine. Your VeVe stuff is garbage, but candy's got
candy. On the other hand,
they've got all the Netflix properties. This and this. So
this and my credit card.
Yeah, exactly. It's all cash. So, but I made the same mistake, and I don't even regret this one. I didn't pay much money for it, and it was actually fun. They made the unboxing kind of fun of it, and if you had enough, I think you got like the bat or something, the Vecna bat, wherever that silly thing is. But, it's just is Candy gonna then merge with VeVe? Like, again, these closed systems, like now I'm beating a dead horse, but just keep it open for any new artists out there. Reach out to us. Like there's a right way to do this and a wrong way, and selling a fully assembled skateboard for non-skateboarders out there is the thing you never do. You sell your deck solely and the art is dope.
Yeah. I think we can put a pin on it and challenge yourself challenge yourself as a collector to find things that aren't, necessarily in your feed, because there are, some people trying to do these things in a cool way and in the right way. And I think that we'll probably look at this as something to come back to in future episodes, just to kind of see, are there different, programs or platforms that are doing this in a way that, kind of gets the decentralized on stamp of approval.
So I would say, because a big part of this show was, Disco saying to me from the very beginning, like, how can we help new people coming into the space navigate it the best way possible? So I guess given all this, what would your recommendation to someone new coming in be? From
what perspective? From collecting art or NFTs?
Yeah, I guess if you had to order, if you knew what you knew now, but you were coming in fresh and you had, you were like, I'm going to put in some money to do this. I'm going to put in a little chunk just to learn and stuff. How would you go about it?
I would go about it from working to find as many of the resources out there that educate you. So
us?
I wish
you'd watch us.
No, well, I definitely would, frankly. And
am I an Escher painting right now?
No, but let me say, as we've been doing the show, though, we have said that it's been a positive process to identify different resources to help inform decisions. So there are a lot of things out there. At first we were like, oh, Crypto Slam's, the one to check. Right. But then we found, about a dozen things to kind of reference and look at. And I think that taking the time to understand how to do your own research, like it's easy to say do your own research and then just watch and get hijacked by Solana hype on your timeline and go and buy Solana. But really, okay, what are the things that I value and I think you'd have to break yourself down into different realms, right? Like, so the NFT or the collector side of me values this side of these things. When I look at it, I go through that lens or prism. Right. And then if I'm looking at, investing, it's those whole things. Am I going to be a trader or an investor? What's kind of my horizon and what's important to me? And if you're truly a decentralist, and you do that, then you're going to look to invest in more of the, programs or projects that are, really value that and are built on that. Whereas if you're more I just want to, ride this thing as much as I can, then you have a certain different value structure. So I think that over the course of the last 2-3 years for myself, it's taken me a while to even get conscious of what I want to become a part of. And, it took me a long time to walk through, even, getting an MFer, that took me a while to kind of kick the tires. And I have no regrets on that because the things that are important to me are represented there. And I like, the whole package. And if I had just come in, somebody would have hijacked my mind into, oh, get this, get that, oh, it's all about this, or whatever's kind of buzzy at the time. And I think that putting those roadblocks we talked about earlier in the show in place to kind of make sure that you can take a week instead of a day to make a decision and hit the button to say yes and to agree to this purchase. I think that that's probably one of the most important things, is really putting in kind of a delay pedal so that you can, process before you act and really manage FOMO, because I think that that is the biggest underlying thing that I didn't really understand until I got into this space.
So that's pretty cool. So you do not regret the MFer at all? Because obviously there's a lot of people in your headspace. You and I talk almost daily now, right? And obviously my thing was like, if I started over and I got my first NFT, it probably would be an MFer. But you didn't get, whereas in years past, there was a huge follow back and kind of a like, hey, welcome to the club. And I never saw a warmer welcome than MFers. But with you and with the Nakamigos out now and all these other kind of ancillary collections that they've done, I was very disappointed. I know you were too, at the reception that you got from it, but it sounds like you're saying you don't have any regrets and you kind of bought it without considering that portion, the belonging. You bought it for the right reasons. Is that fair?
Well, no, it's fair to a degree. I did buy it with an expectation of more, inclusion into a community of people with somewhat like-minded ethos. Like, I thought that would be a little bit more pronounced, but I really, when I look at it, it makes me happy. When I think about it, I appreciate kind of, what it represents and what it represents. And I think that there's certain things that'll stand the test of time. And I'm not going to have any regret on having that, as we talk about this gallery in the sky, or the virtual gallery, like, I'm going to be proud of that thing. And
that's
going to give me joy.
Sure.
Like, from the traditional art pieces I have, they didn't welcome me into some world of, having a bunch of new friends or anything. But every time I walk by them, I get a little lift in my step. And I think that's what art's all about. So that's kind of how I look at that.
Well, that was fascinating, Disco. Thank you for walking us through that. Art's obviously important to us, and, we want to make sure it's presented correctly. So,
I think that art, I don't think it was a coincidence that, art kind of was a big central part of people getting onboarded at the end of the last cycle. And I think that it's a motivator, and I think that we should be very supportive of it. But again, the whole kind of point of what we're talking about is there's a right way to do it. And you can't blame artists for not knowing the right way, because that's not what they're focused on.
Right.
It's not, and you want artists to focus on creating art and using tools to make art that represents society. And I think that, probably our industry and folks who have an understanding and a passion for art have a bit of a responsibility to try to find a way to outline how people can enjoy and enter the space and be as impactful and kind of as authentic as possible.
Well said, Disco. Well said. I'm going to try it this time. So everybody, this show was not financial advice. So don't get over your skis or other snow activity vehicle to spend more than you have. Over leveraging, be careful, but none of this information has been financial advice. It's been all entertainment. Did I miss anything, Disco?
I think you did a pretty good job. I like that we're sticking consistent with the over your skis metaphor. So I'm in.
All right, cool. Well, take care, everybody. We'll see you next week, and happy holidays and happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah. Good to be with y'all. Can't wait for next time.
And punch that like and subscribe and all that other old person stuff that needs to
smash it.
Smash whatever. Later.